Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that
YH,
subscribe
what's up,
button
everyone?
right now.
We need to talk about what's happening in Major League Baseball right now because, honestly, it's getting ridiculous. We're already into January, the new year is here, and some of the biggest names in baseball are still sitting at home without contracts. I'm not talking about marginal players or career backups. We're talking about legitimate superstars who should have been signed weeks ago. Let me throw some numbers at you that'll blow your mind. Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, and Alex Bregman are still unsigned. Those are three of the most valuable players on the entire market. And it doesn't stop there. 6 of the top 9 free agents are still looking for teams. 20 of the top 50 haven't found homes yet. What are front offices doing? Are they all just sitting around playing chicken with each other, waiting for someone else to make the first move? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're saying this is normal, this happens every offseason, players sign later than we expect, and yeah, that's partially true. But here's the thing that makes this year different. The arbitration deadline is this Thursday. Teams are busy with those negotiations, which means the free agent market has basically frozen solid. Nobody wants to commit to big money deals when they're still figuring out what they owe their arbitration-eligible players. It's a perfect storm of inactivity. Let me break down what's actually happening around the league because there are some fascinating storylines developing. The Milwaukee Brewers are at the center of one of the hottest trade rumors right now. Freddy Peralta, their talented right-hander, is available, and apparently everyone wants him. The Yankees are interested, the Mets are interested, the Dodgers, Braves, and Red Sox are all circling. Even some smaller market teams that can handle his $8 million salary are in the mix. But here's where it gets interesting. Milwaukee isn't just giving him away. They want a major league ready starting pitcher in return because they're not rebuilding, they're trying to stay competitive. And there's another wrinkle to this whole situation that's actually pretty clever. Whatever team trades for Peralta can turn around and make him a qualifying offer after next season. If he rejects it, which he probably will, they get a compensatory draft pick in the 30s. So you're essentially trading for Peralta knowing you can recoup some of that prospect cost later. It's brilliant when you think about it. Now let's talk about Chicago. Because Cubs fans are about to lose their minds, their team has spent $30 million on 5 relievers. 5 relievers! They brought back Tyler Austin from Japan for barely over $1 million. That's it. That's the offseason so far. Meanwhile, they've got the Cubs convention coming up in about a week and a half, and you better believe those fans are going to show up with questions. Actually, scratch that. They're showing up with torches and pitchforks. The Cubs need starting pitching. Desperately. Zach Gallen's name is floating around as a possibility. They also need a big bat to replace what they lost when Kyle Tucker went elsewhere. Alex Bregman could fill that void perfectly. But if you've been paying attention to how the Cubs operate, you know exactly what's going to happen. Probably nothing. Based on their recent track record, betting the under on Cubs moves is usually the smart play. Here's something that caught my attention too. There was a Japanese pitcher named Tatsuya Imai who just signed with the Houston Astros for 3 years and $63 million. Initial projections had him getting something like 8 years and $190 million. That's a massive difference. The industry basically said, we don't believe in this guy the way some people thought they would, and his market completely collapsed. The Cubs apparently weren't high on him either, but that still doesn't solve their starting pitching problem. Over in New York, the Yankees are doing typical Yankees things. They're in talks with Miami about Edward Cabrera. They're in discussions about Freddy Peralta, too. Brian Cashman straight up said he'd love to add another starter, because let's be real. Their rotation has more question marks than answers right now. They're also hunting for relievers on the cheap, which is smart given some of the bargains available. The Yankees just signed Paul DeJong to a minor league deal. And before you laugh, think about why. Anthony Volpe just had shoulder surgery. They need shortstop depth. Jose Caballero and Oswaldo Cabrera are fine, but you need options. Now here's where it gets spicy. The Yankees have checked in on Bo Bichette, but there's a problem. Where does he play? They've got Jazz Chisholm at second and Ryan McMahon at third. The Yankees don't see Bichette as a shortstop, which means they'd have to move one of those guys to make it work. Would they trade Chisholm or McMahon to accommodate Bichette? That's the kind of domino effect move that could reshape their entire infield. The bigger picture here is that we're in this weird holding pattern across baseball. Teams are waiting for other teams to make moves. Players are waiting for offers that match their expectations. Agents are trying to create markets where none seem to exist. And fans are sitting here in January wondering when their teams are actually going to do something meaningful. This arbitration deadline on Thursday could be the catalyst that finally breaks things loose. Once teams know what they're paying their arbitration guys, they'll have clearer budget pictures. That should theoretically open up spending. But I've covered this league long enough to know that just because something should happen doesn't mean it will. 3 of the top free agents are still out there. Starting pitchers who could change playoff races are sitting by their phones. Position players who hit 30 home runs last year don't have employers. It's absolute chaos disguised as quiet negotiation. And honestly, something's got to give soon because spring training isn't that far away, and nobody wants to show up to camp without a roster that's ready to compete. We'll see who blinks first.